Hello, Andy Wright here, Andy Wright Travel, and this is a tip for all those people who have been asking questions on the various forums and websites about the mobility scooter and or wheelchairs, but mainly it's to do with scooters because they are quite unusual and how you take them with you abroad. So like me, if you have a small scooter, and I mean a small one, you will have a lot of fun trying to get them onto the planes. It can be done. I have done it many times. Now my scooter is this one. I do have a newer model, which is made of aluminium now, and it's 10k lighter. But this one I've got here, is actually 40 kilos total. It breaks down into three parts and the battery. Now the key part to air travel is obviously the battery. They're very paranoid and anal about taking any sort of form of inflammatory items onto the plane for obvious reasons. It can be quite dangerous, and they cannot put the battery into the hold. You're going to have to be carrying that into the cabin. It's perfectly okay to do that. The battery itself is a lithium-ion battery. They do have recommendations that have been made by the CAA, Civil Aviation Authority, and various around the world. There's all the same sort of thing. CAA, they have these regulations where you cannot take a larger battery than, I believe it's 11 amp hours. 11 is the maximum you can take. Now, majority of these scooters, they have an 10 or 11 battery. You will be doing between 6 and 10 miles on that battery. Obviously, with a newer, lighter scooter, you'll probably get more, but for average mileage is around about 10 miles, give or take. Obviously, depending on how large the user is, I mean, most of these scooters, they will only take a certain limit, a weight limit, and you may find that the larger scooters are not allowed on planes anyway. Wheelchairs, again, same thing for the batteries. They are limited on what you can take. However, the larger wheelchairs are allowed on. I'm going to be talking today mainly about scooters, because that is what I know all about and have experience of. So you can see that when I take my scooter and I go to Thailand quite frequently. I have a lot of issues every time I go. Will come back, mainly. I mean, I can go from London to Bangkok, no problem whatsoever. But coming back, it's the Spanish Inquisition every single time. I just get the battery out and show them the battery, and they take photos of it, and they look at it and they say, yeah. My scooter currently, the new one, is 25 kilos now, so I've lost 10 kilos. It will be the first time I'll be taking that one, but it is essentially the same shape and size as the picture here. This is a Liffey Light, 40 kilos in total. The heaviest part of that is the wheels at the back, which is 15 kilos. And of course, it is a 5k battery, roughly. So the lithium battery, you have, well, this one has a airworthy document to go with it. What I do, if I'm going, I will get my ticket, book my ticket, and I will contact customer service for the airline, and I will specify, obviously, that I need my scooter at the gate usually, and that it has a lithium powered battery, and generally what they're okay about is they will just remind you to take it with you onto the cabin, and the weight limit is also what they're after as well. So hopefully this time when I go, there will be less arguments. Generally it's too heavy, but we've just bought it from London, so you know it's got to go back the same way. So I have this fight every time I go and come back. But the battery itself, as I say, it's very, very light, very able to be carried. They will not put it in the hold, so don't try and check it in. There is no rules, as far as I know, about the number of batteries that you could take. So you could take 2, the same, and then you'd end up with 20-mile radius. I've not tried it. It was a question I asked about, and I still yet have to have a definitive answer, but I think that there wouldn't be any rules, any problems or anything like that, because it's 2 separate batteries. And if they allow one, then you know they might get funny that there's 2, because generally what you'll find is on a flight there probably isn't more than 1 wheelchair on there. Maybe. Well, there might be, I don't know. You can never tell, can you? Now, most of these airlines, majority of them, you need to contact them before you go. So if you're going to the airport, let them know before you turn up that you have this, because otherwise it could create problems later. Generally, they are okay for you to take it to the gate, so you can go all the way to the plane. But don't worry, if you can't walk, they will get you a wheelchair, and if they have to have it booked in, like they do with Thailand, so they like to book it in before when you check in, which is very annoying, because then it means you can't go around the shops and things. You rely on a wheelchair. Of course, by that time I'm just ready to come home, so I'm not bothered too much. I have done it once, and I did get them to agree to it. So they will do it. And also maybe because it's slightly lighter this time around, I might have more luck with that. But usually they will take it from you at the gate, and they will help you on the plane if you need to go. They will give you a wheelchair, aisle wheelchair if you need that. If you're a wheelchair user and you need to get to the plane, generally what you'll be doing is probably transferring over onto the aisle plane chair. Make sure that you don't let them muck you around in London or anywhere else, because they do tend to make you wait. So I maximum time that I waited was an hour and a half for help. Nowadays I don't bother. I've got the scooter. I will just go through security. But generally they're okay with that. They've never really questioned it. Obviously they will ask you about the battery. They will ask you the power. So 10 AH. Of course, things like that. Is a 240 volt, sorry, it's not 240, is a 24 volt battery, and of course the only thing that they're really worried about is the battery itself. Right, I hope that was fairly useful. If you've got any questions, then please do ask them in the comments section. I'll try and answer them. If you have any questions about the airlines, then please do contact the actual airlines. The majority of airlines should be okay, because they have a duty of care to be accessible. And because it's a medical device for mobility purposes, they generally are okay with that transporting these items. Wheelchairs obviously are slightly easier because they are more recognised as being disability aids. But there you go. So hope that was useful for you, and of course don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and catch you later. Bye for now.